Now, Project for the Web is rolling out to organizations globally, and anybody that has an existing Project Online license is going to have a new option called New Blank Project. So I can go ahead and click that. And what that's going to do is it's going to open up a brand new project for me, and with one click, I'm off and running. So I have an untitled project here. All I have to do is give it a title, like Contract Negotiation Process. Maybe a particular customer you want to align that with. I can pick a start date of maybe the 18th, and that's it. Now I can go ahead and start adding new tasks, and as I do this, you'll see how simple and easy it is to use Project for the Web. So I can put maybe perhaps RFP received, and I could put review or create contract. I can say edit contract. I can include, a negotiation phase. I can say that the contract, needs some signatures. And I can say that we need to file this contract in the appropriate places. So very simple stuff. I can then choose what group I want to assign this particular project plan to. So I can create a group called Contract Negotiation Process, and this is connected to Office 365 Modern Groups. I can go ahead and add it to an existing group, maybe called the Innovative E Project Demo Group, which has all my people in it. I can go ahead and add that. And then what you'll see is the ability to assign work to people. So now my whole team is here, and I can go ahead and assign certain work to folks. And you can see this is, has obviously, in general, this is very easy to use, very user-friendly. And I can go ahead and assign these out. What I also have the ability to do here is create a duration. So maybe this is going to take, maybe 2 days. This is going to take 3 days. But folks might want to add some other columns here. So I can add, for example, % complete. I can add, depends on before. And instead of calling it predecessor, we're calling it depends on, because that's more common language, I think. People are more used to that if they're not a professional project manager. I can go ahead and add different columns here, like a start date, for example. And then it's really easy to drag them around and figure out where I want to place things. It makes it comfortable for me to work in this environment. Maybe I prefer to have my duration before my start date, for example. I can add a column for effort if that's going to be different from my duration, like it's going to take me 5 hours to do it, but over 2 days, so to speak. So, and then I have different columns here. One of them is called bucket, and we get to define those buckets. I'll be explaining that in a minute. And then we have, an outline number, which if you want to add some more formality to it, it's like, for those of you familiar with a WBS, it's like a work breakdown structure number that I can have associated with this. I like to make mine over on the left a little bit. Now, as far as the tasks are concerned, I have this ellipse, so I can go ahead and click that, and I can open up the details. So I have my start finish. I can include a note, like, for example, RFP received, from Bill on this date, and need to review, whatever you want to put as notes in there. So it's nice to kind of be able to have those notes and share them with others and so forth. And then I have I can change my start finish date here. I have my duration, I have my buckets again, and then my little simple calculation here for effort. So completed work plus remaining equals total. And then I can add a dependency if I wanted to right here in this screen. Let me show you how to add dependencies. So if I want to create contract here, I wanted to add a dependency, there's a couple of ways to do that. Obviously, I could go back into this informational screen. I could add a dependency. It's actually going to recommend one for me that occurred before it. So I can go ahead and click RFP and add that dependency. The other way you could do that is in basically this depends on field. I can go ahead and double click in here, and then it gives me some options for adding dependencies. Or I could have just typed, 3 in there, and it would add a dependency that way. I can go ahead and change my % complete if I feel like I'm accomplished something. I can either mark it as complete over here entirely, Or I could have just changed my percent complete directly in here by just typing 50. Now, one of the cool features here is that you can create the subtasks, which was one of the main asks from Microsoft Planner. So I can go ahead and hear it. I can highlight this particular row and I can say, make subtask. So now that's a subtask of the other. I can do the same thing here, make subtask. So now notice also my outline became, has a decimal place and it has another incrementer after that number. A couple of other things I can do here is we can basically have a board view. So let me show you the board view. So we have a not started, in progress, and completed. So this is a simple Kanban board. So basically here, I'm showing the ability to move things back and forth. And then I have a timeline. And this timeline basically is a Gantt chart representation of my project plan. But if I have relationships that I want to establish, I can go ahead and establish them visually right here. I can also move things around. I can move this out. I can stretch it out if it's going to take longer than I thought. So very visual, very interactive. There's a zoom in and zoom out feature here as well. But let's go ahead and look at this from the context of Microsoft Teams. So I'm going to switch over here to my Microsoft team. And as you can see, I have a team called Innovative E Project Demo and a channel called Contract Management. So within my Contract Management channel, I have a conversation that's going on, maybe with others in the team, and that's a thread of discussion. I also have files. Maybe I'm working on a particular file. Now, one of the ways that we can basically address some of these challenges in contract management is we can co-author documents right here in Teams. So I have a sample statement of work. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And that opens up this document right here in Teams. So what I'm going to do from there is I'd like to edit this in Teams. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And the document's going to be brought up right here in this interface. I never have to leave Teams, and I never have to go to another system to do this type of stuff. But also notice that there's someone else in this document making edits, and it's Mike. So we're working on this proposal and this contract together. Maybe we need to do some redlining, some things to this contract. I can go ahead and I can change this word well established to integrated. Mike's going to be able to see that change on his side, and I can see the changes that Mike's making in real time. He's changing a sentence up here instead of demonstrate to the word show. And I have a discussion going on here, and I can ping Mike and I can say, hey Mike, agree with your changes. So I'm now back and forth in a thread of discussion with Mike within my Teams channel working on this document. And Mike can reply to me, and basically we have a conversation going on right there. Never had to leave Teams. Now, how does this relate to Microsoft Project? Well, basically, this is all happening within the context of the team channel. There's Mike's reply. I'm going to go ahead and like that. So now I'm going to close the document out, and I might want to check something off on my schedule that we've just completed on that document. So I can go right over here to schedule. I've come up with a really quick contract management schedule plan right here in the context of Teams. And now I might want to mark something as complete, like review contract by both parties, based on the conversation that Mike and I just had. I have a board view here too, and if Mike was working on this with me, and we were both working on the project plan together, I could actually see that he's moved things from not started to in progress. So he went ahead and did that on his side, and I can see that immediately take place here. So we're actually co-authoring the project schedule right here in front of your eyes. We can do that on grid view, timeline view, or board view, and you'll see those changes take place immediately. So it's really nice to be able to collaborate closely on contracts with others, either internally to your organization or on your team. And then I have a timeline view here where we're getting together and we're trying to figure out when are we going to be done with this thing. So different than managing this in Excel or managing it in another tool like Planner that doesn't have the ability to kind of forecast out when you're going to be finished based on the way things are going. The power of Microsoft Project, but the usability really of Planner. Now, some of you may be asking, what about reporting? How do I figure out what's going on in all my contracts? Well, Microsoft's created a Power BI report interface that basically takes all of the contracts that you're working on in your organization and puts them right here into Power BI. Let me just go ahead and refresh that real quick. So now I have a dashboard, and this can say contract dashboard, it can say your logo and your dashboard. It's just an example. But basically I have all these different projects that I'm working on. They may be contracts, they may be other kind of projects, and I can see them right here at a glance. Who's the project manager, start, finish date, progress. And I have a whole slew of different tabs with different reports on them. Maybe you need a contract management dashboard that shows all the contracts being negotiated in your company and how far along you are and the progress against those plans. Here you have it at a glance. Maybe you have portfolio milestones that you're working on, or contract milestone dates that you want to track. Or maybe you need to track who's assigned what across your different contracts that you're managing as a company. So your resources and what are they tasked with, and what are their responsibilities within these contract projects? What are their assignments? For example, my assignments across all the different projects and the different ones that I'm working on. You also have a task overview. So what are the different tasks going on these different contracts, and which are behind schedule? So there's a whole bunch of reports here that you could use in order to figure out what's going on with your contract projects.